What's your name again?
Chrissy,
Where are we going?
swimming!
Hey guys, this is Chris at CRCades. We're going to go ahead and do an install today for No Escape. This is for the Jaws Pro Premium and LE model. The only difference is with the Pro, you don't have the upper playfield or wire form. So with the Pro, it includes a hex standoff for right here. That doesn't come with the Pro model. Other than that, it's the same install. Everything's identical. So what you're going to need for this install, you're going to make sure that you have rags. Keep your playfield covered up, nice and neat, clean. Tools that you're going to want. You're going to want 2 screwdrivers. Number 1 and number 2 Phillips head. These are magnetic in case you drop anything. You're also going to want an extendable magnet. You're going to want an 11/32. This is a socket, 11/32 socket. You can also use a nut driver for that. You're also going to want to have a 1/4 inch open end. That is for your hex standoff to be able to adjust it. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to open up your No Escape pack. You're going to take out Chrissy. You see here that she's inside this clamshell nice and neatly. You've got her wire harness. You have a hardware pack that has 2 3/4 inch 632 screws and 2 washers. Those washers are for Chrissy only. You have to make sure that these washers are used on it because that's what fit inside these sockets. You also have a harness that goes underneath. This is for splitting the RGB signal from the water feature that shows around the playfield that changes color. That is the RGB that we're going to be tying into. So when you get Chrissy and you go to remove, turn it upside down, there's a hole there for you to be able to use your hand underneath to push her up and grab her, take her out of her clamshell. This is the wire harness, and that's what we're going to be feeding through the playfield underneath once we get this exposed. So let's go ahead and take off the top wire form. You have an 11/32 socket on a ratchet. You can use a nut driver. You just want to get that 11/32 nut off and take off the washer that's above it. You're going to keep both of those. They're going to be reused. On any one of these wire forms, you have a washer that is above it and below it. You're going to reuse the 2 washers that are at the bottom part of this wire form, but you're going to replace the screws with a little longer that are 632 by 3/4. Those 2 screws right here are going to be not used anymore. Remember to take your washer out from underneath so it doesn't fly away. Slide this wire form off and out. Okay, you're going to want to use your number 1 screwdriver on these 440 screws. Take them out. And this is going to get stored because you're not going to put it back on. That's going to be stored as well. So you have 2 screws for that. You have 2 632 screws for your wire form that you're going to be replacing. We take off the hex standoff. Take off this plastic and the washer that's there. We'll be reusing those. Okay. Now this is exposed. This is where the harness is going to feed through for No Escape. You also have the switch here. You want to pull that wire to the forward section. This way it's out of your way. Make sure that you're protecting that buoy for Chrissy. Put it on a blanket underneath it, towel underneath it. This 4-pin Molex connector, you're gonna wanna make it to where that it's kind of angled downward so that it can slide in there easy. There we go. Okay. So that's down underneath and out of the way for right now. Now we can go ahead and put back on our plastic. Remember, in this plastic, there's a small area where wires are supposed to feed into, so it keeps them protected. You'll put these back in there in just a minute, along with that switch wires. Go ahead and put the hex back on. Snug him up. Now what you're gonna do is start installing Chrissy in the back. You're not gonna worry about the front yet, but you are gonna put these washers in place first. Make sure that it seats properly in there and that it's all the way flat. That one doesn't look flat. There we go. Oop, magnet. Okay, so with that in there, and you get your wire down a little more underneath. I use jacks on the play field to lift it up, so it gets it up and out of the way. Now you can start with this back one. Remember that this has a washer underneath, and it has a washer above, and your new screw. You're gonna put your new screw into the back of Chrissy, back of No Escape. It's sticking out the bottom. You can put your washer on top of that. Hold that together. Put it on top of that wire form and standoff. Go. Okay. So with that one started, you don't want to put it in super tight, but you can snug it up a little bit where it keeps it out of the way so that you can put on the next part, which is the upper wire form. You're going to want to put that back in. You slide it back into its socket. Put it back on top of the post that it belongs on. This goes forward here. Now this is kind of tricky here because you have to be able to put the washer below the wire form. Washer below. You already have your washer in here for Chrissy. Let's make sure that's in there. There we go. And then we put the washer below it. Swing it on over to the wire form. Oop. And it came off. Sorry about that. Get your magnet. One and two. Okay. Underneath. It's gonna be a little tricky to get this front one on. Just be patient, you'll get it. There we go. Tough to get it through 2 washers and the part at the same time. There we go. Okay. Now you can go ahead and snug Chrissy up a little better. Careful of this front fin. You don't want to hit it with this tip of your screwdriver and break that off. It's not that it's fragile, but certainly if you put a pressure on it with a screwdriver, it could break. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that's in there nicely. So now you would go ahead back into these wires, finagle them to where they're inside that little receiver again. Okay, there you go. They're all in that receiver. They're tucked underneath Chrissy where they belong. Wire form is in, except for the top nut and washer. Then we're going to move on to the wire harness part. Okay, so we have the plate field lifted up. We're going to go ahead and connect the wire harness and the splitter to an RGB LED. I'm selecting this one. It's the closest to it. You've got several around the play field. This is the best one to use. You can go ahead and open that up and split it, male, female ends. You take your splitter. You have the male end of your harness. Feed that around the wires. Then you take the male end and you connect it to the female end. Then you connect it to your existing harness. And there you go. Your installation is complete. If you have any questions, let me know.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.